Tuesday, you're going to have to finish this at home. I'm out, sorry. If you want to go over to the restaurant. I have 2 things. Oh, God. Okay, there's going to be a lot of stuff I have to kind of pass out and move around. Hi. Okay.
Just pretend I'm not here.
Okay. There's going to be a lot that you have to pass out and kind of as we go along. So you're going to start working on some questions as I'm passing stuff out. Don't worry about, like I said, the consumption. Don't get all crazy. We'll talk about that at the end. Most of the stuff you'll be touching, I checked the list. I don't think there's anybody who has issues with allergies, but if you know something's new and you don't think you should be touching something, then don't touch it. Have your partner do it. And let's start reading through to see what's going on here. Okay.
Tectonics, background information. The main force that shapes our planet's surface over long amounts of time is the movement of Earth's outer layer by the process of plate tectonics. The rigid outer layer of the Earth, called the lithosphere, is made of plates that fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. These plates are made of rock, but the rock is, in general, lightweight compared with the denser fluid layer underneath. This allows the plates to float on top of the denser material. The fluid dense material is called the stenosphere, and in this activity it is represented by the frosting. However, the plates are not all the same. Plates made of continental crust are thicker but less dense than plates made of ocean crust, which are denser but thinner.
Thank you. So you're going to need to know some of that background info for your questions, so make sure you kind of pause and reflect on it. When I start handing stuff out and you answer questions and you're stuck, go back to that paragraph to give you kind of a hint there. Next paragraph, please. Melanie, thank you.
Movement deep within the earth, which carries heat from the hot interior to the cooler surface, cause the plates to move very slowly on the surface, about 2 inches per year on average. There are several different hypotheses to explain exactly how these motions allow plates to move.
Thank you. And then final kind of paragraph for us. Terry, thank you.
Interesting things happen at the edges of the plates. At divergent plate boundaries, rift valleys and spreading ridges form as plates pull away from each other. At convergent plate boundaries, where plates are coming together, subduction zones form when an oceanic plate and a continental plate collide. Large faults form when plates slide past each other, making the earth tremble with earthquakes.
Thanks. So if you're still fuzzy, right, because we have a test coming up on Tuesday. First period, there were a couple people who found this. This activity really helps kind of put all the pieces together from the beginning with the layers of the earth until now with the boundaries that we kind of talked about the last couple of days. So hopefully it'll clarify stuff for you guys. Material. So you're going to get a graham cracker, which I'm going to give you. It's going to be whole. You need to break it in half. It might be broken in half already. You're going to get a cup of water. I'll put the cups out, but then the water you don't need till later on. You're going to get 1 fruit roll-up that you need to cut in half. So I'll give you a fruit roll-up. I'll give you scissors. The fruit roll-up should be about the same size like as the graham cracker, so 2 squares. You're going to get a piece of wax paper to protect our desk so it's not full of gook. I'll also give you 2 pieces of masking tape so that way you can stick these down. So I'll start with the wax paper kind of handout. You guys need to tape them down. I'll start handing out the graham crackers, the fruit roll-ups, so you can start cutting them out. And while I'm doing that, yeah, Mona?
Can we eat them after?
Don't worry about consumption. At the end of the period, we'll talk. So while I'm starting that, flip to the next page and look at your first question. So you should, all these questions, restate, make them fabulous. Look at the first question. So we have, right, frosting, fruit roll-up, and then the graham crackers. You need to figure out what could they possibly represent. So the frosting represents this, the fruit roll-up represents that, and then the graham crackers represents whatever you think. So do that first question, talk it over with your partner while I start handing stuff out. So you can work on that.
And then I was
Keep working, stay with me, so we have a chance to work with. I want you guys to have
Or question 1. Are the three objects still laying the earth?
There's supposed to be different pieces of earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go back to that first paragraph if you're stuck, because if one of the three things are in that first paragraph.
Well, I think isn't this over here? Be the green.
Yeah, I think
So tape down.
grand pressure is here to however place now saying you would think of content of the program sticker
And then this
and placement of the Patreon.
Cross string represents the. And explain why you think it is what it is, right? Why do you think it represents this? Why do you think it represents that?
Something like
What do you think? What are you talking about? Yep, put it down.
The fruit roll of angulated plates. This might
So you can start taping this stuff down, right? What, how are you guys doing? You're stuck? What do you think? What do you think? Why? Okay. Beautiful. So if we have fruit roll-up and graham crackers, what else do you think?
The graham crackers probably the crust.
Which type? Why?
So what do you think?
It's thicker but less dense.
Beautiful. So that means the fruit roll-up must be. Why?
Because it's thinner but denser.
Beautiful. Yeah, good job. As soon as you're done with those, you should be taping down your wax paper. Starting to cut your fruit roll-up.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't put graham crackers. Why does so then what do you think? I didn't put roll. Yeah. Would be the root valley and because I just dropped it in
Okay, start wrapping up your question and taping stuff down and getting to that in the next minute or two. So start progressing to getting all your pieces.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like
Over. Beautiful. Yep. That means you have more of what in a given stage. I think the solid versus, yeah, you have more what in a given stage.
so
Denser would mean molecule in a given stage.
okay, so it's hard if the grass not very dense and the solid rigid layer and
Ooh, but it's too. Okay, so you need to drink it. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. You good? Oh, you're,
Should we take the...
I would cut it, good question. I would cut it while it's still on the cellophane, like unroll it, and then cut it.
Because it is thicker.
So should I just cut it in half?
Yeah.
wait, I didn't
So you cut it like this?
No. So, okay. Here, look up here for a second. I'm getting the same question, so it's a good question. The easiest way to cut the fruit roll-up is to kind of unroll it, leave it on the cellophane, on like the piece of plastic wrap on it, and then you can kind of, it's easier to cut through when it has that wrap behind it rather than when it's just a tacky kind of sticky mess. So first, if you still have it, otherwise you could cut it as is. It's okay, you can cut it that way too. What are you doing this morning? Yeah, Maddie out. You're never going to see it. Open this up.
I haven't had these in a while.
Yeah.
You can hold that. We have to like cut it.
Leave it on the.
Yeah. You can use like two squares. Well, right now you need to worry about. Finish that.
How do you leave it on the plastic?
I put it in the fridge so it wouldn't be as hot. Wait until 8:30.
Oh, is this the thing you're saying?
Yeah. You guys are ready?
I haven't had it. I thought you meant
I usually love these.
79 would be like
Today's like meeting.
I was supposed to have
Okay, so I'll have everybody pause. Pause for just a second. Let's take a pulse check. I see lots of fruit roll-up squares, which is good. I see lots of graham crackers. I see things taped down, which is good. So let's start moving forward. In a moment, I'm going to give you a giant blob of frosting. That giant blob of frosting, you should not be tempted to eat at this moment in time because of the fact that we need to use it for science. If you can't handle it, I do have an alternate assignment that hopefully nobody needs to use all day. But I have something else if you can't handle it. I will also give you a knife because when I give you that big blob of frosting, you need to make a square that's about 4 inches by 4 inches. So kind of like 4 inches, right, by 4 inches. It doesn't have to be fabulous, but 4 by 4. And then it should be about a half a centimeter thick. So that's why it's going to be fairly thick. Don't put anything in your square frosting, right? So the frosting, that represents, like most of you guys were saying, the asthenosphere. Who can kind of explain? They have it labeled oceanic crust as fruit roll-up and then graham crackers as continental crust. Who can explain why or how? And you don't have to change your answers for question 1 because that was like, what do you think? Aditya.
the fruit roll-ups are thick. I mean, they're dense, but they're not thick. So they're the oceanic flakes. And the graham crackers are not dense at all, but they're thick. So they're the oceanic flakes.
Exactly, right? So the graham crackers are thicker, they're not as dense, whereas the fruit roll-ups are thinner, they're denser, so they're going to be the oceanic. So, you can start working, I believe, on
Is it okay for fruit roll-up to have a hole in it?
have a whole what?
A hole in it?
Yeah, it's definitely fine. You can start working on question 2, something new you learned about oceanic crust, kind of what we were just talking about, right? So you can start working on that while I give you your blobs and you guys can write stuff out. Yeah. It will be in a moment.
It's like thicker but not thick.
If you can make parentheses. No, on the west. Just parentheses, yeah.
You start, should we start facing it out?
Yeah, you can start spreading it out.
So what do we do? Just like 4 by 4.
Yep, 4 by 4 about. Yep. Yeah.
Here, I have a picture.
The oceanic crust is less than
Ooh, is it?
No, it's more dense. But
Yeah,
okay, so the graham cracker
Okay,
is
okay, so
then
then
sugar,
that's
that's 4.
Graham cracker is thicker and.
That's 4 by like 6. Is that like 4 by 4?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you don't want to do
Did everybody get it?
And
Wait, do we still need these?
That's too big of an area.
Mine?
Oh, sorry, you can make it a little bit smaller. You can squish it a little bit smaller.
Told you.
Well, I mean,
That looks good. That's about.
Well,
I think I got it.
Thank you.
Do we still need the?
Oh, no, who did I just look at?
Looks like that more.
No, maybe I was just trying to finish it. I don't know what I was doing.
I'm gonna get more.
No, you don't. Yeah, that's better. Here, let me give you a little bit more.
I wanted to like all be there. Can
Um,
I think we're good. I think we're good. Perfect.
okay. I think almost all of you are done. I'm going to take your sister. I will take your knives back. Huh? It's fabulous.
She's gonna take your knife.
It's fabulous.
Mine is all pink right now.
I'm
Oh, fabulous.
Ours is fabulous.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ours is fabulous.
You good?
Ours is fabulous. Or
Thank you.
Fabulous. Hey, really?
guys, mine is fail. So you know what?
Okay. So we need to do our first plate boundary, right? So the first plate boundary. I'm going to shield it so that way you guys don't get ahead of me and that way I can ask you. So first one,
Wow, that's cool.
right? Here we go. We're doing a divergent plate boundary. Don't touch any plates or squares that you have yet. So let's talk. Divergent is most often found where? I don't know.
Darn.
It's okay. You stuff?
Yeah.
Divergent is most often found where, Jared?
the ocean.
In the ocean. So we're gonna need what players on your plate, on your wax paper? Jeff.
We're going to need the fruit roll-up.
You're gonna need 2 fruit roll-ups. Don't touch them yet. First listen. So you're going to do the following. You are going to take your 2 fruit roll-ups in a moment. You're gonna gently put them on top of your square. And then you are gonna press down slowly on that divergent boundary. And you're gonna slowly pull them apart only half a centimeter. So not very far, right? Half a centimeter. Divergent boundaries in real life, what's a good example? Detail.
The mid-Atlantic Ridge.
The Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So you're going to see that what's going to be true. Yeah, Brenda.
They move slowly.
They move slowly, and what else? Emily.
It's going to start like coming up in the center.
Right in the center, your new material, your sphere is going to come up just like in the divergent boundary. So you could go ahead and do it. So you have to take it off of the cellophane, right? Take it off of the cellophane. Gently place it onto your icing. 1, 2. You don't have to push them very hard into it, and then just slowly separate them out. Okay, beautiful. And then just pause when you have it done. And then you can pause after you've kind of oozed it out. Well, what do you mean? You still have it. Well, it's not going to be, like, depending on how hard you push and how you move, right? It's not going to be, like, a ton. And it comes out, like, over here. This is a good example. Maddie, so if you look over here, like, Emily's hand, right? You can see how it kind of oozed up in the center.
Can we wash our hands?
I gave you a paper towel for now, but at the end, so you're still, this is still like in the beginning. Next up, we already did question 2 because we did it a little bit in a different order. So we can skip question 2 because hopefully you answered it already. But if you look on that last page, you see you have to do a drawing. You could do it in, also, if you haven't done it yet, you can do it. You have to draw what you have on your plate. But before you start drawing, it has to be from the side view, right? So it should be like a cross section, kind of looking from the side. So you should show me your base layer and then what's on top of it. You have to label stuff, so look at the directions, right? It tells you have to label where your asthenosphere is, where your oceanic plates are, and then draw some arrows. So start drawing stuff now.
What do you mean from the side view?
Okay, good question. So Maddie says, what do you mean by side view? Side view, first one I'll do with you. First one I'll do with you. So you could like, right, you have this, what would I label that? But I don't want frosting, asthenosphere, right? Then I would kind of have the side 2 things about the same size. Because these are going to be what?
The
Oceanic, right? Let me make my space just a little bit bigger. Because of what do I have to kind of show coming through the center? A ridge, more asthenosphere, right? So this blob kind of came up, the frosting came up, right? So you should show a ridge. And then where would I draw my arrows? Which way? Going out. So you draw kind of 2 arrows drawing out. But then you have to label everything, right? So make sure you go ahead and label everything also. I think it's a label, so I like your label. So what are you going to label these 2 things? No. Because we want to know what type of crust is it. Is this supposed to represent continent or ocean? No, roller or okay. And now ocean plate or continent plate instead. Beautiful. Exactly. So those 2 are both what type of fruits? Good job. You got it. I didn't tell you. Quickly, let's do it doesn't matter either way. I wouldn't take things off. This would be yeah, it would be a ridge, yeah. But look at what else you have to label. When you have the center of the ridge, what else can you form?
Wait.
Subduction. When did the uplift break down?
Well, I don't know, were you? Right? Sometimes in the ridge you get like a little bump down, right? This empty space, that would be the ridge valley too. Yeah?
Like fading.
Okay. Wrap up your drawing. So we're going to the next boundary. We're going to the next boundary.
This is skip. We have to label like subduction.
Only if it's applicable. Only if it's in that drawing.
Wait,
So in that picture. That's probably going to be the stuff you finish up at home for like the weekend.
I labeled something, but I'm not sure.
What do we do after?
I can ask you. I can help you. Kevin says, what do we do after? Because I think you guys are more or less there. So let's keep going. Next, we're going to do continental oceanic collision. So who can raise your hand and tell me? What do we have to change out? Joe, what do you have?
We have to put the graham crackers on the frosting.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. You have to what?
We have to put like the graham crackers on the
You're close.
frosting.
We have to put a graham cracker on the frosting, but what's the graham cracker going to hit into?
The fruit roll-ups, because continental oceanic collision.
True, continental oceanic. So we're going to have a fruit roll-up and a graham cracker. So don't do anything yet. Let me show you. You're going to have to remove one of the fruit roll-ups. You're going to put the graham cracker where that fruit roll-up is, right? you're gonna gently kind of push down, but which one's gonna go underneath which? And why? Melanie?
The graham cracker is gonna go underneath the roll.
It could be either graham cracker underneath fruit roll up or fruit roll up underneath graham cracker, but think about which one's denser. That's gonna be the key. So what do you think? Fruit roll up under graham cracker, why? Okay.
Because the graham cracker is less dense, so it can float more easily.
The graham cracker is less dense, it's gonna float easier, right? So gently peel off one fruit roll up and just put it to the side. And then you could do your graham cracker. As soon as you finish that, you could do a drawing of it, right? And you can answer the next question.
Yeah, both of them?
Like that, perfect, done.
No, we got it.
Yeah, you're good, done. But which one goes over which?
Oh.
So you're close, right? This one kind of, as it flies, so it's gonna go like that, right?
Okay, how is
I don't know if this was
Perfect. Looks good. Exactly. Yep, adjust. Okay, so you have to draw it. Have a look at that. And then start doing your drawing, right? Looks good. Yeah, it can sometimes because of what mountain chain is drawing like this.
Wait.
Wait, do you have to push the continent? Do you have to push the continent?
Like you have it. Perfect, you do. So do your drawing, answer the next question.
Wait, so should we write statistics?
Look at the next question. And you have to, that's one thing you have to label, right? So yeah, you should. Which plate is being subducted under which plate?
Subducted.
Wait, we have to write subduction?
Yeah, so if you look on the top, you have to label certain things, right? In your pictures.
Is that
Pushing it goes into.
that's a bridge? So what do we need? Is that what's uplisted?
Two arrows.
We haven't done it there yet.
Like this is the continental continent.
You're hanging in there, Monica.
There's nobody still gonna touch it though.
I don't think they would want that.
Okay, are you guys done?
No.
Almost?
I don't think so.
Wrap it
There's
up.
subjection.
We have 2 more to go in about 15 minutes, so we gotta go. You're gonna have to do your kind of labeling and stuff at home, right? You just need to get the main idea so you don't forget before you get home. We are going to kind of skip the third drawing because of that one has to do with the water, and we're gonna do the last drawing. So you guys did the drawing. You should have at least started to think about the question, maybe not. But next we're doing transform. So transform, how would it look? Show me with your hands. What would a transform boundary look like? Yeah, right, so they're sliding past one another. So we are going to use 2 different graham crackers. So you could gently peel off the other fruit roll up, put it to the side. And you're going to actually slide them past one another, right? So you're going to slide them past one another. Make sure they make contact because of what force are you going to feel as they kind of move? What do you have going on? Friction, right? So you're going to start feeling friction. Do you feel it? When they make sure they contact. The friction, you can feel it kind of, and what are you making? Little what? No, when you have the friction, what would that do in real life? What natural disaster? Right? You're making mini earthquakes, yeah?
How do you
No.
draw them?
Beautiful. No, so Maddie says, hey, this one's a little bit harder. So this one, don't draw a cross section from the side. Draw it from up from above, so that way it's easier. This is your transform, right? So the last picture.
The last.
You should think right.
Oh, I have another question too.
Yep.
In the continental ocean,
Top down, yep. And then your arrow.
we put the arrow like that.
Wait, what is this?
Yeah, beautiful. And then how about this other one? It's beautiful because it's convergent, right? Coming together.
Should we like create and then show what we're doing?
Yeah. Did you feel it?
It's bumping against
Did you feel the earthquake?
Yeah.
Feel the earthquake.
Is that really
Yeah. Beautiful, yep. Did you draw? Yeah, you got it. But you need to show me a sun experience stuff, so you're going to have to add a lot more detail. You're going to probably have to make your squares smaller so that way you can show me the frosting kind of underneath.
This feels.
Yep.
How did you do that?
Keep working. Keep working. I gotcha.
You didn't see it coming on.
Make sure you do arrows.
How do you show that if one is like past the other?
Because of the fact you're doing top down, not from the side.
Oh, first.
Yeah, like friend and half kind of.
You can label. We'll do the label this one the last one. But this is
Well, which one always goes underneath the other?
so nice and shit.
I would say that's something new. We haven't really discussed that.
That's all that's mentioned, right?
I think, yeah. The ball. A transform boundary.
Wait, should we add an answer to question 4 already?
Wait,
No, we skipped question 4. This is question
Okay.
5. So you can answer question 5 based on this. We skipped question 4 because we're going to go back to it because that's about the water.
so the ocean always
Exactly right. Because it's always.
because it's always
It's always above being wide.
Number 5 is
Yeah, good job. No. Yeah, exactly. Okay, last one. Last one, you have to put your listening ears on really good for the directions because you can make your graham crackers fall apart if you don't follow. So for the last one, we are going to do, I'm going to split that continental, right? And so continental, what's a good example in real life? What do you think?
India and Eurasia.
Right? The Himalayan mountains in India and Eurasia. So what are we going to make happen? What vocab word? What are we going to make happen? Brendan.
Uplifting?
We got some uplifting. So this is my favorite one, I must say. It's pretty exciting. So when we look, don't do anything yet. Like I said, because if you don't kind of follow, it gets a little bit crazy. So you're going to pick up your 2 graham cracker edges in a moment. You're going to put them into the cup of water for a couple of seconds. Then you're going to put the 2 wet sides together on top of the asthenosphere and push them and make your mountains, make your uplifting. So go ahead and do that. So a couple of seconds.
Can we like wipe the off?
You can wipe it up a little bit, but it's kind of hard. It doesn't really matter. Are you going to help?
I know.
That's fine. That's why I said. It doesn't really matter. Just a little bit. Oh, you can probably go a little bit.
I think I like what I did for
It's okay. Do the other one. Did you do both?
Okay. No.
You see, come
We had a
on.
natural disaster.
You did. So do the other side.
Okay.
And don't do it as long.
No.
Just keep
Too long. Do the other side.
Get it on.
That one's good.
No.
There you
it's nasty.
go. Very good. You sit here. See? You got your mountain? Yeah.
We did it!
It worked. That's great. So hold on. Let me turn on the lights because we're done with all of our collisions, right? So we have lots of sticky fingers. This is 6 minutes to wrap up. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to take your graham cracker and your frosting wax paper. and get rid of that. If you're so super inclined and you don't have any allergies, you can have some of the fruit roll up. I would say that's the safest thing. Everything, all the mess of graham cracker and frosting, don't touch. But if you want to taste the fruit roll up, you can have a taste of fruit roll up. You need to draw the last one and answer that question. And I'm taking your wax paper, so please pick up your wax paper. Not frosting. Here, you taking these or no?
Yeah, we're gonna take a lot.
Let's start cleaning up.
Good? Enjoy it. Wait, is this in my
I don't think I do that right. So we need to draw that.
So you have to draw
one from the side.
from the side. This one you should be drawing from the side. Which one? No, that looks good. From the side. Yeah, from the side. Make sure. It's too much. Perfect. Thank you, Jared. Make sure you draw that last one and then start labeling everything.
Again, I'm gonna get a need it.
4 hours. Oh, I know that. Are you good? Sorry. You're good. Yeah. That was good. Just make sure you show the 2 individual plates. You should be drawing. You can wash your hands here if you need to go rinse your hands. Yeah, draw it. And rinse.
I like that one.
Did it help you, Maddie? I know you did. Can you remove the tape? No. Yeah, do the second thing. That thing is having issues. Thank you. Did you finish your drawing, Kristen?
No.
Go over and finish your drawing.
Oh, I don't want to say it, but it's like mushy graham cracker.
I don't enjoy it.
It's hard to hurt my hand.
Can we get up to the top here or side view? Side view, that's correct. Thank you.
Victoria, your visor might be a little wet.
What?
Your visor might be.
My binder over there.
I know.
That's not the first one. Use the second one. Because of the sink has a leak.
So should we label like the uplifting oceanic test as well because it's part of the oceanic test?
It's not. Because what was it? What was the interaction? Look at the top. On the bottom. What is the label?
It's the the body.
Sure, but what is it labeled? Look at the news.
We'll have to say continent question.
Exactly. So there's no up.
So good.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of water, frosting, and sugar.
Wait, so continent.
You think yours are together?
No, you have to come out.
Wait, make sure you write continental question. And then make sure you write oceanic continental question.
So this is the family.
Yeah, so okay, take a seat because I think you guys have all pretty much washed your hands with this pen. Let's talk. Sam, take a seat. Oh, thanks. That was the third one. We skipped it, we went back. This was the continental, right? For your drawings, to get full credit, look at the top. There are things you have to have labeled. So make sure you have them labeled. That's kind of this weekend when you wrap it up, when you think it over, right? So make sure you label everything to get full credit on your pictures. The questions, complete sentences, look them through. Just to be clear, look at your questions. Question 5 has to do with the transform boundaries. Question 4 has to do with the continental collision. So don't get confused by that. Tell me, does anybody have anything that they were confused by that now makes more sense after today? That they were confused by yesterday that now makes more sense?
Uplifting.
Okay, so the uplifting, what do you mean?
I didn't really know what it was, but now I realize that it creates melody.
Okay, so the fact that it comes together and it creates melodies. Melanie, what were you going to say?
The continental, no, the transform boundaries.
Okay, what helps?
Like now I know like how earthquakes.
Like the earthquakes, right? The friction. That's where we're going to go after the test. The next unit is earthquakes. Jill, last one.
What if when the earthquake's created, is that like the fault?
Yeah, so the earthquakes are on the transform boundaries, that's the faults. And so when we do the earthquake units, there are different types of faults, and this is just one type of fault. So we'll talk about that. Maddie.
I just have a question about the
Yeah,
labeling.
sure.
On the top, it says to label like continent oceanic collision. So isn't that already labeled?
It is kind of already labeled, so you don't have to worry about that. Just label all the individual things, yeah? Yeah, Emily.
For like fault, so for transfer plate boundaries, should we label? Should we label? Like,
Exactly. Can I have you rinse out? Well, actually, I'm gonna have you rinse it first. Can I have you wash down? So the bell's gonna ring in like 45 seconds. Good job. Thank you for all any extra stuff.
Joe, the red button?
You guys
He said